Good evening, everybody, and Happy New Year. Welcome to another edition of Inside the Pigskin. My name is Scott Mortimer, your host of Motor City Madmouth. Pleased to be joined by Coach Bono. Welcome back, Coach. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Great to be here.
Glad to have you. Bo Crouch, glad to have you back, partner.
Great to see everybody.
And Travis Holmes going to be very busy tonight since he's the lead dog on this first topic, isn't he?
Am I?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
What's going on?
But before I get into the specifics, though, I do want to pay tribute to my uncle, Gene Reichson, who Saturday night passed away at the age of 92 years of age. I had a chance to see Uncle Gene last April for the draft and autographed the book over to him. And of all the people I've dealt with in my entire life, he's one of the closest people I've ever had. But 92, he was on oxygen, and I'm just glad that he was able to go ahead and live it out. And I was able to get that book, and he was surrounded by his family back home in Metro Detroit. So, Uncle Gene, rest in peace. I hope you give Diane some hugs. And this show is being dedicated to Gene Reichson, who, I worked with at the Highland House many years ago, another lifetime ago. So with that said, Uncle Gene, I love you. This show was for you. Topic tonight, the title tonight is, why is Trent Baalke still employed? Really? Seriously? Okay, D-Lowe's running late. Everyone must be on holiday break still. Well, we're back now, so we're on time. Thanks a lot for joining us. All right, well, let's break down the particulars. The Jacksonville bizarre coaching situation. And I mean bizarre. Doug Peterson was fired after 3 seasons with a 22-29 record. He was 4-13 in his final campaign in 2024. The interview requests that have come thus far include Kellen Moore, Todd Monken, Joe Brady, Liam Cohen, Van Johnson, Aaron Glenn, Patrick Graham, Robert Saleh. Now, keep in mind, folks, Baalke is 25-43 as the Jags GM, and they've only had one postseason win with them. And this will be his third crack at the coaching situation. So one of the interesting things here is you got Robert Saleh on the list, who was 20-36 with the dysfunctional Jets. I guess the only real question I'm going to ask anybody is, number one, okay, and there's really two. This is a two-part question. I'm going to start off with you, Coach. Okay. Why do you think the Jaguars kept Trent Baalke?
Well, I mean, it's kind of par for the course a little bit. You usually see GMs get 2 to 3 head coaching hires before they make a switch. It's
Okay.
You'd like to think that they're married at the hip from, with the very first one, but the fact is we rarely see that. It's usually they give them at least 2 chances to get it right. The year Baalke was hired was the same year they hired Peterson. Am I correct on that, Travis?
They hired him the year before with Urban Meyer. So
Okay.
Urban Meyer was his first one, and then the year after they fired Urban, they hired Peterson and married him to Trent.
Was Urban truly Trent's hire, or was that kind of
That's the conversation that I want to get into, and it's a longer conversation. So, but the gist of it is, let's just say no.
I kind of thought that was, hey, we went and got our coach. Now we're going to go get the best personnel guy.
Yeah,
and
that's the way I thought it went down.
Yeah.
I have some theories based on his recent press conference, Shad Khan's recent press conference, that's changed a lot of the ways that I thought this thing was working.
Yeah. So, just given the dynamic, I know everybody's screaming for his head, but that's, that's typically the way it goes, so it's not surprising. I'm not saying that it's not warranted either, so I see, both sides of that camp, but, and for the people that will argue that some coaching prospects might not want to work with them. The fact is that there will be plenty that still will be able, that will or be willing to try. There's always there's only 32 of those jobs, and there's a lot of people that want them. So
Let's go to the chat room real quick. Joshua Door's funny. Who is Trent Baalke? I only know Trent from 108 Stitches. Well, Trent Clark, by the way, and Trent's actually my co-host. Well, that's actually pretty good, Josh. I'm okay with that. And actually, Trent's going to be my lead co-host beginning Monday on 108 Sixers Baseball Talk. Trent Baalke is the general manager, Joshua, of the Jacksonville Jaguars as it stands right now. So the second part of this question, then, Coach, you're given a list of names, and based on just these names only, okay, who do you think would be the best candidate to get this job based on these names only?
I'd say, I think they'd go with again, I think they'll go with an offensive guy. I think, Ben Johnson, if they can get him.
Okay.
I don't know how attractive Jacksonville will be to him based on, the other ones, but I think he's pretty much going to have his pick.
Okay.
Liam Cohen's a very interesting name. Todd Monken. There's some really good names on this list. It's just kind of, who's having the hot year right now, and who's, I'd say, like, God, any of those guys. I mean, you realistically could see, landing this job.
Okay. You know what? Guess what, Travis? You know what I've talked about? Go ahead. This is your team. Give it to me straight there, pal.
Shad Khan don't know no better. I'm just saying straight. I'm just gonna say it straight, as straight as I can be. If someone has owned the team for more than a decade, in this case 13 years, and they've shown you who they are, as a fan, as an analyst, as a media, beat writer, all across the board, if someone's shown you consistently as far as all of their hirings and the way that they manage this organization, who they are, and then they come out in the most recent press conference and tell you directly, this is who I am, I don't think there's much conversation for questioning how this guy's going to run this business. He is going to run this business like this Jacksonville Jaguars organization, right, like it is a Fortune 500 company, but a bad one. And I'm just going to be honest about that. He's an incrementalist at best. So unfortunately, that means he is not going to give you a clean slate rebuild. He is not going to give you a head coach and a general manager that's fired and hired at the same time. He is just not going to do that. And for all intents and purposes, he said that directly in his most recent press conference. You're going to really hire something along the lines of, you're going to really hire and fire all 85 people in the organization. You take what you can take from it and you kind of build on that. It's a Fortune 500 philosophy. When you're revamping an organization, you don't throw everything out. You kind of just take the best of it and keep adding to it. So because of that, you're never going to get a clean slate situation for the Jacksonville Jaguars. So that's what has the fans, for the most part, the most irate, because they've always had that thought, but now we're seeing it very directly. And he's saying, hey, no, this is not who I am. Oh, that stinks, because now you're turning into the Tennessee Titans. You're turning into someone I'm going to give you this head coach, Mr. New General Manager, and you're going to work this out. Or I'm going to give you this general manager, Mr. Head Coach, and you're just going to work this out. And it never ends up working because these guys have different philosophies. They're not on the same page, or there's just a lot of ego involved with this. And we're talking about Trent Baalke, who's never had a good head coach other than, I'm sorry, by good, I do mean 500 or above head coach, other than Jim Harbaugh, who wasn't his hire, and he ran him out of town. Like, so we're not even talking about someone who's good at his job. He's just a great little manager who's good at selling himself. That is who he is. That's Trent Baalke. He's the best. That's why Shad Khan loves him. He is the best person at telling you how good I am when I am at best average. But Shad don't know no better. That's
okay.
it.
All right. Now I gave you a list. Of this list, who do you think would be the likely guy to be the next coach of the Jaguars?
I mean, the belle of the ball is Ben Johnson, absolutely. And Liam Cohen is not too far behind him. I think that's kind of everyone's top candidate as far as they're concerned based on their recent history and that recency bias. Unfortunately for the Jacksonville Jaguars, as we just discussed, you have Trent Baalke. And that is an anchor around your neck around the neck of this organization, because there are some guys who are not going to want to work with him. Especially if you're a first-year head coach, you're going to risk the rest of your career not being able to work maybe after 2 to 3 years if this goes sideways, that's a hard thing when there's 31 other opportunities I could potentially, leverage and maybe, step into one of those situations. I'm probably saying someone who maybe has a relationship like a Todd Monken because, he formerly worked for the Jacksonville Jaguars, like Aaron Glenn, who formerly played for the Jacksonville Jaguars, maybe even, Kellen Moore. That's maybe one of those, if you really had to go offensive guy, or Robert Saleh, because
I only gave you one choice. You can't take 7 of them. Seriously.
I'm sorry.
Really?
All right. If I had to say one, I'm going Robert Saleh just because he's very similar to the Doug Peterson situation where he has to work with someone like a Trent Baalke.
Thank you. I swear to God. I don't
I'm sorry. I'm pulling the mail. I'm sorry.
I swear to God, man. This is our first show, and I got fireworks from the guy asking for one guy and giving me an explanation of 7.
I'm sorry. This is the first time I've been able to talk on air after that press conference, and it has me pissed. As a fan of the team, media, it has me pissed.
I can hardly tell. Really? Seriously? Good stuff. Welcome back, anyways. All right, go ahead, Bo. And by the way, we got some activity in the chat room by Mr. Joshua Dorr. All right, Katie, go ahead. Put them up there, and they're not too bad tonight. All right, we'll start with it. Well, I mean, you have to judge them by what they are. All right, so we got 45. Yeah, I just celebrated 45 years. Yeah, I don't know. They Ralph Williams is in there. I'm not going to read them. I got to preserve the voice. Otherwise, I'll have to turn it over to Bo if I lose it. And Bo will be my alternate if I ever lose it. So be prepared for that, or Travis, anybody. So be ready if I need you, Bo, okay?
All right.
At least you guys get the topics in advance. All right, so go ahead. Take a crack at this one.
Yeah, so
good stuff, Travis. I love you, man.
Like Travis said, he's a little bit of a boat anchor. So I like Saleh here with, he's probably going to have the thinking of, what we're bad at? Defense. Let's get a defensive guy in there that, the whole time he was coaching was a top 5. And then you watch the defense fall apart for the Jets as soon as he left. So I could see them move in that direction. Plus, again, like Travis said, it's a guy that has to work, right? He's not going to get a ton of options. Ben Johnson is going to get offered deals everywhere.
Right.
Saleh, he's the guy at the end of the table. Like if there's still some on the tray, you can have some.
This is why I love this crew, because you know what? The guy that I had in my mind is Robert Saleh. It really is. It's bad enough he left Woody Johnson, and he also it happened with the Jets when Saleh left. Okay, and they went to the toilet. He goes to Green Bay as a consultant. Not so bad. He'll probably still be with them through the playoffs. But now all of a sudden he has a chance to go to Jacksonville, work with his buddy. Let's face it, Coach, you know this, and everybody knows this on the planet, that if you know somebody that you worked with in the past, don't you think that gives you the upper hand of landing the position?
Sure,
right?
Absolutely.
Which is why I put Saleh in there. That's why the GMTA stands for Great Minds Think Alike. Love it. That's who I was actually thinking about.
Do you think he has to wait till they're done since he's a consultant, not an actual coach, or can he talk to him now?
Why do you think that? I hate to say this because I'm going to get shot later.
Well, they still have to. They still had to ask for permission. So that's the reason that you didn't hear about Mike Vrabel, because they didn't have to ask for permission because Cleveland. Yeah. He was coaching for Cleveland, but they're not in the playoffs. So they could still deny the request, but they're probably unlikely to if he's interviewing for a head coach role.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens with Green Bay by the end of the week, whether it's going to matter anyways. So, but again, that's a good point. That's really good to have Robert Wardell, Saleh for Hawks offensive coordinator. Wow. I've seen crazier things happen.
That's an OC.
I've seen crazier things.
Yeah.
They're trying to pull a Bill Belichick there.
Right? That's wrong side of the ball there.
There you go. Yeah, well, if Saleh does come on, you better find yourselves a good offensive coordinator. If you want a guy that came from college to the pros, I'll put my man Tom Herman, give him a job up in Jacksonville. That way I can take a ride up I-95 and see Tom. Tom is out there. I love Tom. Got to get him a job, Coach. Really, seriously. Got to get my man Tom in there. You're having a hard time in FAU. Then again, everybody does. Nowadays in the NIL, can't pick on the all, but gotta give Tom Herman a job. All right.
Hey, man. Yeah, and that NIL is getting a lot of general managers some looks in college, though. That's opening up the jobs.
Yeah. Oh, let's open up another can of worms when we come on here in 2 weeks. When you come back, I can tell you all kinds of stories that I got in Orlando, and Coach would probably be able to back me up on that, anyways.
Hmm.
All right, we'll go to another interesting topic here. Dan Campbell has gone for it. Get this, on fourth down 31% of the time since 2021, 147 times, 82 conversions, 65 failed attempts, 55% conversion rate. And now what's interesting is I'm starting to see a lot of coaches go for it on fourth down. Every time you turn around, they're all going for it. Go figure. Dan Campbell is starting something here. Coach, go ahead. Help me out.
Well, I mean, the numbers bear out, right? I mean, you got to. It's not just fourth down, but you got to look at where are they on the field. Um, I think it's something. It's philosophy that they've committed to it. They've clearly, stuck with it through thick and thin, and it's paid more dividends for them than it's cost them.
Right. Numbers are unbelievable. I've never seen a coach go fourth down, but he's getting away with it. But one thing we can't lose sight of, that when Campbell signed out with the Lions, he got a 6-year contract. So I guess there was a few fourth down conversions that he can go in there when you have job security involved, right, Travis? Dan Campbell, the fourth down wizard.
I mean, yes, he is the NFL fourth down wizard, but at the end of the day, that just makes him ballsy. Like there's a boatload of these coaches in high school, like, and a lot of them are. I mean, I can't say famous, but absolutely, you may be entering the infamous role.
Right.
There's one coach from Texas. I believe there are two of them in Florida who they almost always go for it every fourth down. Like they just don't punt the ball and they don't kick field goals. Like those guys have been around for a very long time, and you very rarely get maybe one or two of those guys in college. They're normally at one of those smaller schools or maybe something like a Boise State where they consistently just go for it and they're just uber aggressive. And those guys have been around. It's new because it's like you're finally seeing it at the highest ranks. You're finally seeing it in the NFL, and now other coaches are kind of picking up on that, seeing that, hey man, he's getting an advantage. I mean, he's absolutely getting an advantage. He's getting that 20% more points because they're just getting the ball. They're getting the ball into the red zone. They're getting the ball into field goal range just that many more times, and it's helping them out. We gotta find a way to make that to find an edge. So we're going to start going for it too. And now all of a sudden he is starting to get those copycats. They have although he's getting imitators. They love the fact that it's working for him, and they're going to try to be a little bit more aggressive too. They found that freedom to do it, unfortunately or fortunately, because he's been good at it.
Well, think about Dan Campbell. We know goes for it on every fourth down these days. And if that isn't enough, he's got a luxury called Jake Bates who can kick him like Gus the Mule. You guys ever see that movie Gus many years ago? The mule that used to kick field goals. I'm telling you, Jake Bates is the closest thing to Gus the Mule I've ever seen. Every now and then he'll miss one. I mean, he's only human, but at least he's kicking him over at Ford Field where he did it with the Panthers. But you got a luxury like Jake Bates who can kick him deep. And then Dan Campbell goes for him. What a beautiful thing! How much we've improved since the Cowboys from a year ago. Seriously, really? Oh, everybody knows I'm glad to be back in this chair here with you guys. Oh, I miss you guys so much. That's why I'm going ballistic here all night tonight. All right, Bo. Well, I still have a voice. We have a few topics. We have some fun tonight. We'll have everybody else coming back as time goes on. Take it. So, Bo, Dan Campbell, you drinking the soup about all those cotton picking fourth downs or what?
I mean, he coaches like he's playing Madden, right? Like the kicker just doesn't see the field. And I mean, it's one of those, if it works, it's great. If it doesn't, everybody's going to second guess you. I don't mind it when he's doing it, midfield or even on the positive side. The couple of times I've seen him do it at like the 25 or the 30, I'm like, man, come on. Like you are setting your defense up for failure here. And he has gotten them, and then he's missed them too, right? Conceding points to the Vikings, a week ago. So, I mean, there's some of those scenarios that I don't love, but you are seeing it around the league of people jumping in on it. Sirianni tried to follow suit, and cost them a couple of games, and then he sort of abandoned it a little bit. But turns out he doesn't love 4th and 4 as much as he was trying to early in the season. So, some of his success is uniquely put together by his roster.
Well, amazingly enough, every time I watch Campbell, it's called that assumption thing. I'm assuming he's going for it on every 4th down now because he's got us all thinking that way. And by the way, a little footnote for Sunday Night Football: the Lions versus the Vikings attracted 28.5 million viewers, which is the largest audience for Sunday Night Football finale since 2012. How do you like that for numbers? NBC loving the Lions. A few years ago, they beat the Packers on Sunday night. Then you get them for the opener against Kansas City, and then you get them for the Texans. And now the Lions love it on NBC. I think from what I can remember, they're at least 4-0. Put it back on NBC. I don't know. Of course, we won't know where they're going to be after a little while. Nevertheless, okay, do I have a voice? It's working pretty well tonight. Can't say it always will. Like I said, Bo will always be my backup plan, and I got plenty of capable people if I run out of it. But tonight we're really firing on all cylinders. So, Joshua Door's out there listening somewhere along the line. And Mel's not here, so I don't have to take his wrath. I had plenty of Diet Mountain Dew today to keep me busy. And if that wasn't enough, I had a little bit of Diet Coke with some wings anyways. And we're not asking the dinner question, so don't worry about that. Some questions in the Robert Wardell makes things more interesting when 4th down is open like isn't that the truth? And what's the thoughts on Ernest Jones negotiations? Pam, anybody want to answer that?
So they are letting him hit free agency. So I would be interested to see if they give him the conditional franchise tag. That way, if somebody else gives them something and they don't want to match it, they end up with a couple of first rounds out of it. But from the sounds of it, they're just going to let him hit the open market.
Okay. All right. Blows is on a roll tonight. I don't know what he's drinking, but he's drinking something pretty good. I just submitted South Florida Tribune for Best Podcast in South Florida Award. Very good. Send me the hardware. You can send it over to Deerfield Beach over at the post office, but we appreciate the kind of words, Blows, very much. I appreciate everybody in the chat room. Missed you guys, but we're going to be back. We have a big schedule coming up. We're just getting warmed up. In a moment, we're going to go to a station break. Then we're going to have some predictions both on the college and the pro level. Sam Darnold, guess what? 14 wins with Minnesota and 16 starts. Pretty good stuff. 13 wins with the Jets and 38 starts. Bad stuff. Coach, those numbers don't lie. There might be some lottery tickets out there with those numbers. But what do you think about Sam, the man who's going to get paid?
That's all I was going to say. That just means it's more cha-ching in his bank account. So good for Sam. Again, it's the reason why you don't ever really give up on a player. You just never know when things are going to click for him. Right. Sometimes it's scheme, sometimes it's coaching, but it's usually people around him.
Good stuff. Oh.
Yeah, I mean, some of this really puts your eyes on the Jets as just a dysfunctional organization, right? You have Geno coming to Seattle, rebirth of his career. You have Darnold hitting Minnesota, looks fantastic. Makes you think that somebody's going to take a flyer on Zach Wilson.
I heard that too. I actually did hear that. Okay, where do you want to go with this one, Travis?
Hey man, in the words of the great philosopher Kevin O'Connell, organizations fail young quarterbacks before young quarterbacks fail organizations. That was his quote from early this year or this offseason. That's it, man. That's nail on the head right there. Like the bad organization. Yeah, they're gonna make this young quarterback fail before they have the ability to even learn the game or learn the true speed of the NFL game. Whereas you're seeing all these guys bounce back, whether it's Geno Smith, whether it's Baker, whether it's Sam. We're seeing when these guys get some good structure, a good situation around them, they've had some time to get their feet wet and learn the game and everything else, and they're blooming. This is what it is, man. Like you got to give the guys time, you got to give the guys structure, you got to give the guys organization, and you got to develop them. And honestly, that's not the general NFL game these days with this turn and burn, unfortunately.
It's true. Yeah, Sam Darnold, everybody thought he was washed out in a bus. Go figure. All you need is a right situation, coach. You know that as well as anybody. You get the right situation. You get the right offensive coordinator. You get somebody that likes you, not willing to throw you under the bus, and all of a sudden you have yourself a pretty good quarterback. Boy, that's a really tough, simple philosophy that 99% of the people don't get anyways. But what I can tell you right now is everybody's going to get a station break, and Candy Evelyn's going to give it to them.
I am I? Well,
Absolutely.
You are listening to the South Florida Tribune YouTube channel. If you see the red subscribe button, hit it, like us, share us, tell us all your friends and family. We would love to have more audience out there. But the one thing that we did, actually one person on this panel did, the South Florida Tribune published a book. It's called Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. It is written by your host, Scott, the Motor City Madmouth Morganroth. It is available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Apple, and Google Books. And the audio book is definitely in the works. Wait for the more details to follow on that. There's also a link on our website, www.southfloridatribune.com, where you can also find a link to our sports merchandise store where you can buy South Florida Tribune or Motor City Madmouth paraphernalia, sweatshirts, t-shirts, jackets, you name it. Go check it out on our website as well. Scott writes, I take pictures, and there's other great content on there. If you want to see some of the quotes from the Jags, you can. There is other things out there, so go check out our website. If you'd like to listen to podcasts, you can find us wherever you get your podcast. If you want to be a guest or want to have topic ideas, you can always email us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. We love all the chats as long as you keep them topic relevant. We love you and want more of them. So back to you, Scott.
All right, Candy.
I was specifically tailored at Josh out there.
There you go. We're talking about all these food things. You know what? Although I'll tell everybody what I had for dinner tonight. Those bratwursts were pretty good. I will say that. And Pensman's Sports, just so you know, folks, has been a new addition to the team, and he joins us on the Sports Exchange on Wednesday night, and he also joins us on Thursday night for Fire Up, and does a wonderful job. Pensman, thanks a lot for being here tonight. And Bo knows the system. All you guys know the system. But yeah, sometimes you have to have new disclaimers and make sure everybody keeps it real. Well, guess what? We're going to keep real, but you don't have to worry about point spreads. I don't get paid for this stuff anyways for point spreads. We're going to talk about some NFL predictions, and we're going to go to all 6 of the contests. And you know what, Coach? I don't know if you like predictions, but you get to make one for each of the 6 games. Just give it to me straight, my coach. Chargers at the Texans. Who you got?
I got the Chargers.
Okay. Pittsburgh Steelers at the Baltimore Ravens.
I like the Ravens in this game. I think they'll win, but I think it'll be a close game.
Okay. Denver Broncos at Buffalo Bills.
Man, this is another one where I really I think the Bills will win, but I like the Broncos to cover.
Okay. Pensman says that Bo was on his stream just before he got on and went, well, very good. Glad you guys could work together. Beautiful thing. All right, Coach. Green Bay Packers at the Philadelphia Eagles.
Eagles.
Okay. Washington Commanders at Tampa Bay Bucks.
Another really good game, but I think I'm going to give the Bucks the edge here on home.
Okay. Last but not least, Minnesota Vikings at the LA Rams.
I think the Vikings win on the road.
Okay. Okay, Bo, you're next. I'll go with the games again. Chargers, Texans.
Chargers. Yeah,
Okay.
I like Chargers here.
Okay. Steelers at Ravens.
I like the Ravens at home. And the fact that the Steelers are backing into the playoffs, I'm not a big fan of.
Okay. Sounds good. Denver Broncos at Buffalo Bills.
This will be a closer game than it should be. I like the Bills at home, though.
Okay. Packers at Eagles.
Eagles.
Okay. Commanders at Bucks.
Man, this one's tough. I do like the Bucks at home. I feel like this is if you're betting on this game, it's because you hate money. Like this is one where you keep your money in your wallet.
Are you saying the Bucks? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Vikings at Rams.
This is really going to depend on how Darnold recovers during the week. He was on crutches, yesterday. So if Darnold is still beat up going in, then the Rams will get him.
Okay. 6 games. You know what they are, but I'll repeat them to you too, Travis.
Yeah.
Chargers, Texans.
Chargers all day. I don't think it's gonna be close.
That's okay. Jim Harbaugh. You talked about him earlier. Pittsburgh Steelers at Baltimore Ravens.
Love Mike Tomlin, but hey, this ain't the day. Ravens.
Okay. Denver Broncos at Buffalo Bills.
I'm actually gonna go. This is a weird one because I even almost said it out loud. Like I almost want to say the Broncos just because they've been so dang good. But I can't realistically tell you the truth and be like, I'm going with Denver. Nah, I'm going with Buffalo.
It's gonna snow too, right? Like there's gonna be snow everywhere.
Snowing, and that's just a Josh Allen. I'm gonna be bigger than you in game. Like that's it.
But come on, Bo, you got 2 teams that can play in the snow. It's not like you have the Miami Dolphins. But I'm
talking about you can have 2 teams, but one has a quarterback that can play well in the snow. That's another running back.
I'm kidding with you. I'm just saying. It's the battle of snow teams. All right, Green Bay Packers at the Eagles.
Eagles. I mean, you got the whole Christian Watson thing. I love Matt LaFleur. That's my guy from Northern Michigan University. But hey, at the end of the day, I can't. I don't see it.
Well, and they got 2 quarterbacks nursing injuries.
Right.
Also true.
Yeah, remember when we had that show with Malik Willis and Jordan Love? A lot of people didn't think that Malik Willis is going to be any good, but it hasn't turned out so bad for him. After all, the Tennessee Titans literally gave him away anyway. All right, Commanders at Bucks.
That's to Bo's point earlier. This is one of the hardest ones of the bunch. Bucks have been having trouble stopping folks, but at the same time, the Commanders have been so up and down. I mean, and the Bucks even lost against the Cowboys a few weeks ago, so that makes me just feel yucky about any of this. I'm probably going to go to Bucks, but I don't love it.
Begrudgingly taking.
I don't love it. Boy, if that isn't a waffling pick, I don't know.
Hey, I'm telling you right now,
I'm going to go with
that is it. I'm not betting on it. I'll tell you that. I can't put my house on this.
I hope not. I don't want to see you in the poorhouse. Otherwise, your wife's going to read you the riot act. Okay, last but not least, you got the Vikings at the Rams.
I guess I'm on the ledge on this one because I'm going to Rams. I do believe in McVay.
All right, I'll give you mine real quick. Okay, Chargers to win over the Texans, and I like what Bo says. Pittsburgh is backing in, and Baltimore's going to move them out. Denver at Buffalo. I got to go with the Bills in this one. I'm going to go with the Eagles to win against the Packers, but I'm going to go with the Commanders over the Buccaneers on this one. They're playing on house money, and Dan Quinn is making Jerry Jones look really bad right now. That he should have let McCarthy go a year ago. Think about it, Jerry. They had Dan in the building. You can't Mike McCarthy. He's with their division rival. He's in the playoffs, and Jerry, he's not even letting Cooper Rush go out there and hit any incentives. Seriously? Really, Jerry? You didn't even want Derrick Henry either. So, Commanders over the Bucks. I said a mouthful there. Then again, don't I always? Minnesota Vikings at the Rams. I'm going to go with the Rams. Lions, I guess, will be playing the Rams again. All these different rematches. All right. Let's turn our attention to the NCAA football. College football playoff has been pretty interesting. Just so I'll let everybody know, folks, next week I will be talking a little bit more about the Miami Hurricanes and Iowa State. This week we just didn't have a lot of time to do it because I wanted to try to get back on track with some of the NFL coaching moves as well as some of the games that are coming up. But I will be incorporating more Iowa State. I know Coach knows the Iowa State coach. Give me his name again.
Matt Campbell.
Matt Campbell, a super nice guy. This guy is. All right, NCAA football, Final Four, Notre Dame at Penn State. Coach, who you got?
I'm going to go with the Fighting Irish.
Okay. And the Cotton Bowl, Ohio State, Texas.
I think I like Ohio State.
Okay. Travis?
I think I'm actually going the exact same. Well, no. You said the Fighting Irish. I'm sorry. No, yep. I'm going Penn State. I just like I like their defense. I don't know. But no, and then I'm going to agree with Coach and go. He did say Ohio State, correct?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Yeah. We're in agreement there.
Okay. All right, Bo, you know the drill.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go Penn State And then I'm going to go the other side. I'm going to take the Longhorns here. And only because Ohio State, although they have been playing out of their mind, they had a rough path to get there. They're primed for a letdown of a game. And the Longhorns can take advantage.
Okay.
So, Travis, who's your pick in the Ohio State game? Would you go with?
Ohio State.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Ohio State.
I'm the odd man out here.
Okay. Well, no, that's okay. Doesn't matter. I mean, got a lot of games. We're picking more games than we normally do, but you know what? There's a lot of activity going on. All right. You know what? I'm going with the Fighting Irish. The way they smacked Indiana around, I thought Indiana had a chance to win that game, but shame on me. But when they beat Georgia, I was a Notre Dame believer at that particular point. And keep in mind, the SEC is getting smacked around too. They're not used to having all these other competitive teams out of conference beating them. They're so shielded by the +1 that they can win all these national championships. Now that you have to face these teams out of conference that you don't have any information on, the SEC almost becomes a little bit more real and down to earth, don't they? So I'm going to go with Notre Dame to beat Penn State. I don't believe in James Franklin anyways, but I got to give him credit to get it to the Final Four. And Ohio State against Texas. I got to ride Ohio State. I hate it. I'm from Metro Detroit. We don't like Ohio State, but you know what? Ryan Day, couldn't beat Michigan, but to get people off of his back, at least he was able to go out there, whip Tennessee, and he did a pretty good job making Oregon eat duck soup. That
he beat the brakes off the Ducks.
He did.
Oh my gosh, I couldn't believe it. All right, well, we have a little time, okay, and that's this. Coach, I want to ask you, what were your thoughts about when Michigan defeated Alabama?
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of an ugly game to watch, especially for Alabama, how it started off with the turnovers. And then, it was ugly to kind of watch as a Michigan fan, just watch them kind of just hang on and, hang on for the win. But a win is a win. You don't, at the end of the day, you don't get any points for style in those deals. It's a good way for Michigan to end their season, with regular season win against Ohio State and then winning their bowl game against a storied franchise like Alabama. It bodes well for Sharon and what, the expectations and what they're building for in the future.
Yeah, and they beat them twice in the same calendar year. Alabama's streak of double-digit wins ended. I think they had 16 years in a row, I think it was, where they ended up winning at least 10, and the Wolverines made sure it wasn't going to be any more than that. So, but what were your impressions about Michigan and Alabama, albeit it was an ugly game? This game, and I like to say, because my Toastmasters people like to get on me for saying too many times, but I don't care. Yeah, it's better than alms. But nevertheless, go ahead, Bo. What do you think about Michigan against Alabama?
I mean, that was the most JV looking game ever. It was just ugly football, but kudos to Michigan getting it done. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't even an enjoyable watch. Like, you were sitting there looking at teams that you thought hadn't played football before.
It is funny. That's why I brought this up on the spot. All right, Travis.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, it's big names, but it was not an exciting watch, to say the least. This was Jaguars Titans. This was not football at all. Just don't call it what it is. And then you have what was it? Freaking Davis Warren tearing his ACL, and then he's already got the surgery. That's rough for him because he was already going to have a rough situation coming back with if it wasn't the number one quarterback, it was a number one or number two incoming freshman, and Mikey Keene coming in. So he was already in trouble just as far as
the guy you're referring to, I believe, is Bryce Underwood.
Yes. There you go. Right. And I'm just like, so you're already in a rough situation, and then you get injured, and you have to go through that offseason recovery and everything else. So that stinks. So for me, that's my low light, I would say, from that game. that was already full of lowlights because it all just picked the under. Like that's just what it was. There was very little scoring, unfortunately. But hey, man, win's a win. A defensive win is still a great win, ish. But it wasn't a great watch. Let's say it that way.
Yeah, I watched it. I was actually happy that they got out to that 14-0 advantage by hook or by crook. And you know what? When it comes to Michigan and Alabama, and I've seen them play a couple of times in person, I was glad U of M got the win. You know, you could go out there and beat Alabama, who said that they should have gone out there and been in the college football playoff. And we did a show on a long time ago. I think you guys remember when we talked about Vanderbilt upsetting Alabama. And I'll tell you one thing, then I think Tennessee ended up beating them. So I ended up sharing that out on social media today, actually earlier in the day. But I'm glad that Michigan was able to beat Alabama. They needed some sort of positive momentum. And from what I understand, correct me if I'm wrong on this, okay? Sharon Moore is having a much better recruiting class now, and he's starting to line up a lot of guys to the transfer portal. So I think the Wolverines have a lot to build on. But if you can end your year beating Ohio State and Alabama at the very end, I think you've done some pretty good work for yourself. I really do. So anything you guys want to talk about over the holidays about what you enjoyed doing? Coach, I'll leave it off with you.
Man, just watched a lot of football. But, it was great to have family in and everybody under one roof. And we had a great holiday. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, we're going to have a lot. I'm going to have a whale of a time trying to get us caught up for the next few weeks, but I think that everybody in the group needed a little bit of a break, and I'm glad we were able to do it. I didn't have much of one. I had the Miami Hurricanes and Iowa State. There will be a lot more stuff coming in on next edition of Inside the Pigskin Tuesday night. So I just wanted to make sure we covered what we had to get out today. Bo, tell me about your holidays a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, similar to Coach. Watched a lot of football, hung out with family. We did end up with a dog, so now we have a little shepherd, so that's cool. But it was just pretty low key, which was nice.
Great stuff. Okay, what about you, Travis?
And I slept. I don't remember nothing. I slept. There was a lot of sleeping. I was off for like 10 days straight. So all I had to do was only just covering football, only watching football, and only hanging out with the family and everything else. So just truly just enjoying and legitimately sleeping a lot. It was good. It was good times. It felt like, but this is probably what retirement is like. I was enjoying that, man. What about you?
Well, I'll tell you what. For me, I enjoyed working the Iowa State Miami game up in Orlando, and I celebrated my 62nd birthday on last Sunday. It was pretty kind of neat to do that. I don't think I've ever had 2 smoothies in one day, but I did in Orlando last week. Those smoothies are, they're really good stuff. And of course, I was doing a lot of admin work for the company too, trying to make sure we were preparing for guests, trying to get some other old shows, keeping things going a little bit. And Pensman did a good job during the holidays too, as we let him use our YouTube channel to do broadcasts. So I want to keep our subscribers happy out there, so know that everything's going on, even if we're being busy behind the scene doing some things. But I enjoyed it. But more importantly, I had an opportunity to celebrate my 8th wedding anniversary with my wife on New Year's Day. So it was pretty neat. She's been with me 12 years. That woman deserves a gold medal for putting up with me. Really, I don't have a problem. I can handle it, right, Katie? Come on for a minute. I mean, seriously, but she puts up with me, and she's a trooper.
Yes. Happy anniversary to you. Thank you for saying that. That was awesome.
That's all right. Yeah, but go figure. I mean, we got a lot of football here, but I'll tell you, I'm really anxious to get back. I have a lot of big plans coming up in 2025. This is obviously a show that is very dear to me. And of course, I'm not going to kid you. I do have some medical challenges I have to deal with this year. But at least, when you go into a year knowing that you're going to face some obstacles, at least you know how to mentally prepare for them. And I'm prepared to do everything I can to see this thing as best I possibly can. And I couldn't be more happier than to have the group that I have right around me tonight and we day in and day out with you guys. You guys are extended family. This is the only show, swear to God, that Coach Bono can go out there and organize a group chat. I wish they were all like that. Seriously? Really? I haven't got my seriously or reallys out in a while, so I had to get it out there. I know Travis is somehow laughing Boy, I'll tell you, he's got them all built inside of him. He's seriously and really waiting to happen, blowing up. But I love it when we are self-starters and we create our own chat room. So with that said, this is our first show of Inside the Pigskin for 2025. So with that said, Candy, take it away. Give us another station break. Everybody's going to identify themselves, and we're going to be ready to do this thing next Tuesday night, right? All right, go ahead, Candy.
The South Florida Tribune Publishing Company published a book called Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. It is written by your host, Scott, the Motor City Madmouth Morganroth. It talks about his 40-plus years in the media business and how it has changed. Old school media versus new school media. It is available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Apple, and Google Books. You can also find a link on our website, www.southfloridatribune.com, where you can also find a link to our merchandise store, where you can get South Florida Tribune or Motor City Madmouth merchandise. You can also read a plethora of great writing by lots of different people. If you're into sports, especially South Florida, we get a lot of the colleges send us information, whether it be the Hurricanes, the Gators, the USF Bulls, FAU Owls, and Florida State. So there is lots of different information on our website. There are some pictures too, I think. Somebody takes pictures around here. And yes, check out our YouTube channel, South Florida Tribune YouTube. Hit that red subscribe button if you have not subscribed yet. There's going to be some great content coming up from previous, and I will not let the cat out of the bag, but there will be some information stuff going up in February as well. So if you like to listen to podcasts, you can listen to us wherever you get your podcast. If you want to be a guest on a show or have topic ideas, you can always email us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. Twitter is @TribuneSouth. If you want to advertise or sponsor a show, we'd love to have you. Call Scott, 954-304-4941. Back to you, Scott, to close us out.
All right, Candy, you want to make a prediction on the Eagles and the Packers game?
I think as much as we've gotten injured and banged up, I think it could be a tougher game than people think. I think the Packers have their hands full, especially now that Christian Watson is out with a torn ACL.
Right.
But I will be honest, Christian Watson has been injured a lot for the Packers. So the question will be, they have until 4 p.m. tomorrow to solidify who they want on their roster so they can go out and pick up 2 more people, because they also have a defensive player, Jair Alexander, who they recently put on. So depending on who they pick up, I think it can be a tougher game. My heart wants to go with Green Bay, but my head is telling me Philadelphia.
It's okay. You can just say it. Fly, Eagles, fly, right?
Everybody was talking about the Packers could be a very dangerous team. If the Packers get hot, they can do it, but it's going to be a tall task for them.
All right. Well, now we're going to wrap this puppy up. So with that said, Travis Holmes, let everybody know how they can get a hold of you.
Hey, man, all the socials, Travis D. Holmes, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Blue Sky, all of them. You find my writings covering the Jacksonville Jaguars, bigcatcountry.com. Also, again, I'll talk all sports on the socials, not just the Jaguars. That's who I cover, and that is also who I'm a fan of. So, yeah, a lot of Jaguar talk, but I'll get into whatever team you cover or the team you support that sucks probably. That absolutely add me, and we'll have that conversation. But, yeah, what about you guys?
Great stuff. Okay, well, let everybody know how they can go to you.
Yeah, so obviously you can find me here every Tuesday night. All the socials, Football Talk with Bo, YouTube @football-talk, and of course, Coach tomorrow.
Okay. All right, Coach, you're probably the easiest one of the group.
Yep, right here on Tuesdays with Bo on Wednesdays and on LinkedIn and none of the socials.
Yeah, don't ever underestimate LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn, all those social media ones. So with that said, that does wrap it up. So on behalf of Coach Bono and Bo and Travis, this is Scott Morgan-Roth, Motor City Madmouth, Candy producing tonight. Thank you for joining us on this edition of Inside the Pigskin. We'll be back next Tuesday night, better than ever, more topics, and we'll see whether or not some of us are eating crow with some of our predictions. I don't know, but we'll see. Enjoy the games, and we enjoy you and enjoy being back. See you next Tuesday night. Good night, everybody.